Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. At the top of the hour, we'll go back to Washington, D.C. Thanks so much for joining us, especially those of you that were watching the last live stream that just ended here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. At the top of the hour, we'll go to the White House for a presidential news conference. That is slated to start at 1 o'clock. Of course, you see right there some images from NASA, specifically all about Artemis II, the Orion spacecraft, as they make history orbiting around the moon, to the dark side of the moon and around, something that's never been done before. Well, it's going to happen this time, and it's thanks to NASA for that happening and many other people within that framework of that space industry. We'll be monitoring all of that as well, along with a number of other stories, including the latest on the Save America Act, where that stands, and then the ongoing DHS shutdown, and of course, Operation Epic Fury, as today is day 34 of the operation. That I learned today from President Trump, as you guys may have seen in the last live stream. He spoke with the press a lot, and so we're going to get to some of those clips. We're going to review some of the things that you may have missed in the prior broadcast, and also go over some other stories that we're covering. Now, today for this news conference, the president will specifically speak to the fact that two of our pilots were rescued after ejecting from their shot down F-15. So as that plane's going down, those guys got out of there. But it took a minute to find the second pilot. The first pilot, soon after being shot down with that F-15, was found. But it took a minute to find the second one, and it was not an easy task, is what I'm hearing. We're going to hear more from the president, the commander-in-chief, about that. And on top of that, we'll hear from military personnel. Specifically, will it be Pete Hegseth and Dan Kane? We'll see here at the top of the hour as the president will hold that press conference. And a bit higher in the sky, as you guys are seeing on the right side of your screen, just a few miles higher than 30,000 feet. We're also keeping tabs on that Orion spacecraft. Again, as 4 astronauts are on the way to orbit the moon, some 250,000 miles away from Earth. All right, so we have a lot of stories that we're talking about, of course. Let's begin our broadcast with that second pilot who had been rescued just like the first after that F-15 was hit by enemy fire. So let's go to President Trump on Truth Social saying, quote, "We have rescued the seriously wounded and really brave F-15 crew member officer from deep inside the mountains of Iran. The Iranian military was looking hard in big numbers and getting close. He is a highly respected colonel. This type of raid is seldom attempted because of the danger to man and equipment. It just doesn't happen," the president says. The second raid came after the first one, where we rescued the pilot in broad daylight, also unusual, spending 7 hours over the Middle Eastern country of Iran. An amazing show of bravery and talent by all. The president says, "I'll be having a news conference with the military at the Oval Office." He said, of course, yesterday on Monday at 1 o'clock, which is going to be in, 49 minutes from now. God bless our great military warriors, President Donald J. Trump. So we saw that yesterday. And of course, moving on, we are going to continue our live coverage here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. This all brought to you by a number of great sponsors, including Plan Select. So are you getting all the benefits you deserve from your Medicare Advantage plan? Many people don't realize their plan may include valuable extras, can save them thousands of dollars every year. All you have to do is call 877-318-6730 now to see if you qualify by calling that number. With the right Medicare Advantage plan, you could receive a gym membership at no cost to help you stay active and healthy. If you need a ride, many plans include transportation services with up to 60 rides per year to your doctor's appointments or pharmacy. Some plans also offer meal delivery programs with up to 28 meals delivered each year at no cost, perfect after a hospital stay or when you just need a little extra help. You may also qualify for an over-the-counter allowance of up to $800 per year for everyday essentials like vitamins, first aid supplies, cold and flu medicine, and dental hygiene products. And that's not all. Certain plans provide a grocery card with up to $3,000 per year to help pay for healthy food and household essentials. So again, you only have to call this number to see if you qualify, 877-318-6730. The big question is, are you taking advantage of everything your plan offers? So if you call that number, 877-318-6730, you can find out if you're taking advantage of all of your Medicare Advantage benefits. Licensed agents will review your options and help make sure you're getting every benefit available to you. Again, the number, 877-664-8133, to speak with a licensed Medicare Advantage plan agent. All right, so you see that specifically there. Let's go to Tax Network USA as well, as it's tax season, and a few questions for you. Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? Or how about this? Have you filed every year, but you still keep owing? Did you retire and suddenly get hit with a tax bill you didn't expect? Or are you a business owner with maybe some messy books and a balance you can't afford? Or maybe you pulled money from your 401k or IRA early and now the IRS wants its share. However your tax issue started, the outcome is the same. Your balance is just not going down. Penalties are growing, interest compounds, and many of you are maybe about to owe again for this upcoming tax year with no plan in place. So you can stop what you're doing and just call Tax Network USA. The IRS, of course, they're not waiting. The IRS is enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, and property seizures. They can even file for you without your consent. This is where Tax Network USA comes in. With more than 15 years in business, there hasn't been a tax case they haven't really seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide simply get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. And they can help do the same for you, but you have to call now. They're offering a free investigation call with the IRS. After that investigation, they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your tax problem, then you get back on track. So this is about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. So don't wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. All you have to do is call 877-479-6503. That's 877-479-6503, or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. As you guys can see, the website or the number are your options for Tax Network USA. All right, we are about to go to the White House once again. If you saw our previous live stream, of course, we were out there for the 2026 White House Easter egg roll. It's a timeless White House tradition dating back to 1878 during the presidency of Rutherford B. Hayes. This year, the White House Easter egg roll honoring America's 250th birthday by incorporating patriotic themes throughout the event. The President and the First Lady participated in the entertaining tradition and making it a truly memorable experience for all. So let's go to President Trump, and also the First Lady chimed in there for her speech. Let's go to clip number 5.
Does he have a good voice or what? I think we're going to send him to the Met. We'll get a little commission, make a lot of money, because that man can sing. Thank you very much. It's not the first time we've heard him. So today is a very special day. It's a day where we celebrate Jesus. It's a day where we celebrate religion. And it's an honor to be the President of the United States. Our country is doing so well, like it has never done before. You'll see that very shortly. And things that we've done have not been done before. We've broken every record on the stock market. We've broken every record in our military. And what about the rescue that took place yesterday? What about that? That's something that you rarely see. You know, they were giving me a briefing about that. And they said normally when you're in very hostile territory, and I don't think it gets much more hostile than Iran, they're capable fighters. They're very tough people. And there are others like that. You don't mind when the enemy is weak, but that enemy is strong. Not so strong like they were about a month ago, I can tell you. In fact, right now, they're not too strong at all, in my opinion, but we're soon going to find out, aren't we? But when a thing like that happens, where a pilot's shot down, in most instances, you're really not able to go in, because you'll go in with 200 people and lots of jet fighters and helicopters, and you really don't have a chance. They get shot down. You lose 200 in order to pick up one. It's a horrible thing, but it's very rare that you can do it. And what we did yesterday is we picked up not one, we picked up two. We kept the first one quiet, and we were able to keep it quiet for about a day, which made it a lot better. But those two pilots were incredible, brave, and we thank them. And we're going to be having a news conference today at 1 o'clock at the Oval Office, and we look forward to it. But I just want to say we have a great military. We have the greatest military, the most powerful military any place in the world. You saw what happened with Venezuela. And it's an honor. I built it in my first term, and I didn't know I was going to be using it this much in my second term, but it's my honor, and they're the greatest people on earth. Our warriors are the greatest fighters on earth, and they very much appreciate you and love you, and that's why they do it. So this is all about today. I must tell you, I came out and I expected we were going to be talking about farmers, and we love our farmers. We were going to talk about so many different products, but you know what they want to talk about? Sir, this is about eggs. Eggs. Because we have the egg farmers of the entire country here, and they are unbelievable. And if you remember, when I first got elected, my first news conference with the fake news, a lot of fake news here today, but I had a news conference, and the first question, what are you going to do about eggs, sir? I said, what's wrong with eggs? I just got there. It's my second day in office. I had a news conference, and they were screaming at me, what am I going to do about eggs? And I said, well, it's like, tell me what's wrong with eggs. The price was so high. It was 4 times higher than it was a year before. I said, well, that sounds like a problem. Let me think about it. And Brooke Rollins, our great Secretary of Agriculture, she got involved. We all got involved. They didn't want me, as you know, just last year, it's hard to believe, they didn't want me to order eggs for the Easter egg roll, the Easter egg hunt that we have here every year. They wanted me to use plastic. I said, I'm not using plastic. We'll get it solved. And within a short period of time, eggs came down. They came down 40%, 50%. And by the time we got there, we had so many eggs, we didn't know what to do with them. And today we have more than 40,000 eggs supplied by all of the great egg farmers that are with us. So eggs is a big thing, and it was a big thing to our great First Lady, who's here someplace. Let's see. I think this is our First Lady. What do you think of our First Lady? She's a movie star. I don't know. Do we call her First Lady or a movie star? She has the biggest movie. Can you believe this? And she deserves it. Would you like to say a couple of words to your friends? Come on.
Happy Easter Monday. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful day. We are celebrating a very special Easter egg roll this year because it's 250th birthday of this beautiful nation. Enjoy it, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks. Thank you, honey. And she worked very hard with her staff and the staff of the White House on really just making it nice. This is the nicest I've ever seen it. So this is my 5th, and I will say that it gets better every time, right? It gets better every time. You notice the fencing is all brand new. I said, we could have bought used fencing and saved a lot of money. They said, this is for Easter, and this is for our egg farmers, and we're going to get new fencing. Everything's new and everything's beautiful, and the White House never looked better, and our country never looked better. So I just want to thank everybody. It's been a special period of time. 1 year ago, a little bit more, our country was dead. We had a dead country. We had an administration that didn't know what the hell they were doing. Today we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're respected by everybody, and that's the way we're going to keep it. That's the way we're going to keep it. So again, I want to thank all of the associations and the egg farmers and all of the people that are here. We think we could have 50,000 people coming all day long. It's open, and they expect between 30 and 50,000 people, so that's great. And most importantly, I want to just say Happy Easter and God bless America. We have the greatest country on earth. God bless you all. You are very, very special people. Thank you, everybody. Have a good time.
All right, so then after that, the president went down to the South Lawn, mixed in with everybody there, took some questions from the press, said hello, took some photos, that kind of thing. So why don't we look at that as well. As before that, actually, the president enjoyed the U.S. Marine Band performing right there on the South Lawn. Let's go to clip 6 in just a second. Let's go to some of our sponsors before we do that, as we get ready to go live to the White House once again. You see, Rumble Wallet is one of our great sponsors, and you may have seen those conversations happening online lately. Censorship is unfortunately back. It's happening everywhere. Platforms simply trying to control narratives and pushing the stuff they want us to see. So we can fight back in the information and financial arena, because Rumble is one of the only companies that has really stood the test of time and deserves our support, because on one side, they're challenging big tech censorship. On the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. Banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards, and with Rumble Wallet, you actually get to control your money. Not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Not even Rumble can touch it. And you can buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin and Tether Gold in one place. Tether Gold is real gold on the blockchain with ownership of physical gold bars. So it's not only a wallet to buy and save, but it also allows you to support your favorite creators by easily tipping them with a click of a button. So this is how you get started. Just go to wallet.rumble.com. wallet.rumble.com, or just go to the app stores and type in Rumble Wallet today. You can open an account, step away from the big banks, and go with Rumble Wallet right there. Great sponsor here on Right Side. Let's also go to kalshi.com/RSBN. Speaking of money, if you'd like to buy or actually bet or trade or just check out various polls, you can with kalshi.com/RSBN. That's one way to get there. RSBN is the slash after kalshi.com. You can use the QR code if you'd like. You can also download the app. So there's a trifecta of ways to get to kalshi.com. Science, technology, sports, faith, politics, questions like when will the government shutdown end? Do you know there's that partial government shutdown still happening for DHS? Thanks to the Democrats, of course. It's facts. It's not just drama. That's what's happening. And thanks to President Trump signing that memorandum to get TSA agents paid so the airports can look a little better than they did before. How awful was that? But anyway, those are the kind of things that you guys can check out on kalshi.com/RSBN. Two great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Just looking live there, or at least at some recent photos of the moon. And also, okay, we're hearing it's a live feed actually. Pretty cool stuff. The Orion spacecraft, the 250,000 mile trek around Earth a couple times, obviously from Kennedy Space Center and then to Earth orbit, and then now on the way, all the way to around the moon for orbit, and then back for splashdown. Next year, it'll be Artemis 3 landing on the moon. So anyway, just keeping track of that, but also, of course, keeping track of a number of stories out there, including the Save America Act, and the fact that Congress, they're still, on recess, but they're, doing what they have to do at their various states when it comes to, the constituents being out there amongst the people that voted them into office. However, it'd be nice if all of them came back and said, let's get the Save America Act passed. And the way that would work would be through ending the filibuster. But there's not enough numbers at this point for that to happen. It would take 51 votes to have the nuclear option there, specifically on Capitol Hill, when it comes to getting the Save America Act to the next level, which would be for a vote. If the ending of the filibuster happens, it would be 51 votes of a simple majority to pass the Save America Act, and President Trump signs that into law, and guess what? 347 million Americans are somewhat being represented by 51 senators that should just get this done. And there's other senators that are saying amen to that. Senator Tommy Tuberville. How about President Trump? How about Vice President Vance? How about we, the people, the mass majority of the entire country, saying, hey, let's have some voter ID and proof of citizenship. And while you're at it, no mail-in ballots unless it's for medical or military or some other instances. And oh yeah, no man and women sports, and no mutilization of our children in the transgender whole thing. 5 things in the Save America Act. We, the people, say let's do it. Not every senator agrees. Those are the facts. Jack. Whatever. Anyway, so it's 12:38. Let's do this. After the president's speech, he and the First Lady stepped down to the South Lawn and watched the U.S. Marine Band perform Let's get back into it on this Easter Monday as we await the president there at the White House. Clip number 6. All right, so that was from our previous live stream. Of course, if you want to watch that in its entirety, you can do so maybe after this live stream. And then the president from there spoke to some reporters and then mixed in just with everybody that was on the South Lawn there. So we'll go over some of those clips in just a minute. This is as we await this press conference that will be starting in about 18 minutes from now. Let's go to a few of our sponsors, including Birch Gold Group. When the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was fixed at $35 an ounce. If you fast forward to today, the US dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. So gold, on the other hand, has increased in value by more than 12,000%. And that's why central banks are buying gold at record levels. And here at RSBN, we encourage you to consider diversifying your savings with physical gold from Birch Gold Group. But it starts with education. Birch Gold just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. This free online event rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. So you can sign up to get free silver on your next purchase. Get even larger incentives as you go. So the more you learn, the more you can earn. It's kind of a thing in life too, it seems like. But you must act now, as this special event only runs through April 30th. The dollar lost its anchor in 1971, but you don't have to lose yours. You can text the word Trump to the number 989898 to join Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. This is by April 30th, so at the end of the month. Just text Trump to 989898 today. Let's also go to our next sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You see Tax Network USA. Of course, it's tax season, April 15th, right around the corner. And I have a few questions for you. Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? Or have you filed every year but still keep owing? Did you retire and suddenly get hit with a tax bill that you didn't expect? How about, are you a business owner with some messy books and a balance you just can't afford? Or maybe you pulled money from your 401k or IRA early and now the IRS wants its share. However your tax issues started, the outcome is the same. Your balance is just simply not going down. Penalties are growing, interest compounds, and many of you are about to owe again. There's some that, of course, won't, thanks to President Trump's big, beautiful bill when it comes to some of that, but that's besides the point. But you can stop what you're doing right now. Just call 877-479-6503 because the IRS isn't waiting. The IRS is enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, and property seizures. They can even file for you without your consent. And remember, this is for people, if you have any back taxes and just a number of questions that you may have when it comes to your personal or business income taxes. This is where Tax Network USA comes in because they have more than 15 years in business, and there hasn't been a tax case that they haven't seen a resolve. They actually specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving the back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion with a B dollars in tax debt. So they could do the same for you, but you have to call now. They're offering that free investigation call with the IRS. After that investigation, they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your tax problem and get you back on track. So it's about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. And you don't have to wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Just call that number you see on the screen there, 877-479-6503. Again, that's 877-479-6503, or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. Great sponsor there and right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, for those of you watching right now, thanks so much for doing so. I think some people are starting to, I don't know, at least I listen sometimes. If Robert is in studio and I have to take care of something, I will listen as well. So for those of you maybe driving or traveling or just listening, hello to our radio listeners, I guess you can call it. Anyway, thanks so much for live streaming in here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 12:47, Monday, April 6th. Hopefully you had a great weekend. I know a lot of things happening in our country and around the world. We're going to cover a lot of the stories here. And of course, we'll be going for that news conference in about 13 minutes from now. Speaking of the press, President Trump spoke to the press after today's event. Obviously, it's a live picture switching up with NASA right now as the spacecraft Orion is on its way to orbit the moon. That is Artemis 2. They call it Integrity. The pilots named that spacecraft Integrity, but it's also called the Orion spacecraft. All right, just like there's various names that NASA gives each of the spacecrafts. Anyway, let's get back to it though. If you missed it, in case you did, the president spoke to the press after the Easter egg roll that happened on the White House South Lawn today. So let's go to clip 7, check that out.
What else?
Mr. President, you said that Iran had no anti-aircraft equipment. How were they able to drop those?
Well, you know what? When you do thousands and thousands of flights and you have one plane shot down and not mortally, the 2 pilots got out, they got a little bit lucky. And you know what? In war, you need a little bit of luck also. They got a little bit lucky. That's all they got.
Ending the war. What's stopping you from ending the war?
Well, it could end very quickly, the war, if they do what they have to do. They have to do certain things. They know that. They've been negotiating, I think, in good faith. We've had total regime change. You know, the people there now are much more reasonable than the lunatics that you had in phase 1 and phase 2. They were lunatics. The people that we're negotiating with now on behalf of Iran are much more reasonable. You can call it what you want, but I call it regime change, and I think most people are giving us credit for that. The first regime was taken out, the second regime was taken out. Now the third group of people that we're dealing with is not as radicalized, and we think they're actually much smarter.
Why did you use such vulgar language in that Truth Social?
Only to make my point. I think you've heard it before.
Mr. President, have you spoken to the families there that were saved? Have you spoken to the families there that were saved?
I'm going to be doing it right now.
Mr. President, what do you say to Americans who are not a fan of the war?
They're foolish, because the war is about one thing. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Had we not broken the Barack Hussein Obama agreement, you know what I'm talking about, the Iran nuclear deal. This is years ago, my first term. You would have had a total, Israel would have been gone, extinguished. Israel would have been wiped off the face of the earth, and the entire Middle East would have been, at a minimum, in big trouble. But I did it. That was phase 1. We killed Soleimani. Without Soleimani, if they had Soleimani, it would be a whole different thing. Maybe. Would still be winning, but it would have been harder. Because we are obliterating that country. And I hate to do it, but we're obliterating, and they just don't want to say uncle. They don't want to cry, as the expression goes, uncle, but they will. And if they don't, then they'll have no bridges, they'll have no power plants, they'll have no anything. I won't go further, because there are other things that are worse than those two. And we might have, well, the thing, if I had my choice, what would I like to do? Take the oil. Because it's there for the taking. There's not a thing they can do about it. Unfortunately, the American people would like to see us come home. If it were up to me, I'd take the oil, I'd keep the oil, and would make plenty of money. And I'd also take care of the people of Iran, much better than they've been taken care of. It's been a horrible. They've killed 45,000 people as of a month and a half ago. 45,000 protesters. We don't do that. So if I had my choice, I'd keep the oil. But I also want to make the people of our country happy. I think most people wouldn't understand that. I'll give you an example. Venezuela has worked out so incredibly. We have 100 million barrels of oil right now in Houston being refined. It's been great. The relationship with Venezuela, the leaders, has been fantastic. And I think we're going to have a long-term, very good relationship. And it might be beyond long-term. You understand what that means? Well, I tell you what, I'm pretty good at this stuff, and I go around and I check. They'd like to see us win and come home. And I appreciate CNN for the first time maybe in my life. They did a poll. And everyone's saying, oh, is Trump losing MAGA? No, I'm not losing MAGA. MAGA loves what I'm doing. And CNN did a poll of MAGA voters, a big poll, very important poll, Harry. And he went on, he said, this is amazing, 100% support. He said, I've never had a 100% poll at anything before. And do you support Trump, MAGA people, which is, by the way, mostly Republican. And if you look, I would say MAGA makes up a majority, like about 95% of the Republican Party, all right? So they went out, they did a poll, and CNN came back 100% support. So they support what we're doing, but they would like to see it end and come back. But remember, wars last years. We're in there for 34 days. and we've obliterated a very powerful country in 34 days. Yeah, if it were up to me, I'd like to keep the oil. I just don't think the people of the United States would really understand.
How is it taking care of the Iranian people if you're bombing?
Yeah, who you with? Who you with?
Yes.
Well, that's a radical left group of lunatics that you're with. Let me just tell you, very fair question. The Iranian people, when they don't hear bombs go off, they're upset. They want to hear bombs because they want to be free. And the only reason they're not out protesting, you know that, is because they were informed that if they protest, like the wrestler and his friends, if they protest, they will be shot immediately. And that's an edict, that's in writing. If they protest, if they go out in the streets, they will be immediately shot. They don't have guns. You know, we sent some guns, but the group that was supposed to give, which I said would happen to my people, I said it, I called it exactly. We sent guns, a lot of guns. They were supposed to go to the people so they could fight back against these thugs. You know what happened? The people that they sent them to kept them because they said, what a beautiful gun, I think I'll keep it. So I'm very upset with a certain group of people, and they're going to pay a big price for that. But the Iranian people will fight back as soon as they know they're not going to be shot and as soon as they can get weapons. If they had weapons, not many of them, if they had weapons that would go in the other way, and you know what would happen? Iran would give up in 2 seconds because they wouldn't be able to take it. But in Iran, they have absolutely no weaponry, and they've been told point blank, if you come out to the streets, you will be killed. As of this morning, and we have this on pretty good information, 45,000 protesters have been killed. Pretty bad.
Mr. President, you said Iran has been obliterated. Why are we still at war then?
It's a big country. They can't fight back. They have no capability. I mean, they have some missiles left. They have some drones left, but essentially they have no capability. They had a lucky shot with an airplane, but we got them back out. The rescue was incredible. And it wasn't of one person, it was of two-person. There are those that say that's never happened before, because usually when you're shot down in strong enemy and deep enemy territory, you can't go after them because you'll end up losing 250 people to get one. So it's a terrible thing. But we had to make a decision. Do we do it or do we not? And we did. And, you know, we have some helicopters with a lot of bullet holes in them right now. Probably you know that. No, I'm very honored to have rebuilt our military. In my first term, second term, and we are the most respected country anywhere in the world with the greatest military anywhere in the world. Thank you. So we have a news conference. You'll all be there, so you can ask the question in a little while. We have a news conference in a little while. What would you like to ask her?
What she wants to say, Madam First Lady, can you tell us your message to children who find themselves in war zones during this Holy Week?
Well, all of this is happening for their future, so they will be safe in years to come.
That are now in a war zone. We're keeping them as safe as we can possibly keep them. But we're fighting for their parents, their grandparents. We're fighting for them. We're fighting for their future. And I will tell you, it was given to me loud and clear, the time the Iranian people are the most unhappy when you hear bombs all over is when those bombs stop. That's the problem. It's when they stop, because that means that, are they coming back? We want to have them back. And, you know, everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. So hopefully it can be over with quickly. Again, there are lots of different alternatives. We have many alternatives. We could leave right now, and it would take them 15 years to rebuild what they have. We could leave right now. But I want to finish it up. Iran, ready, cannot have a nuclear weapon. They are lunatics, and you can't put nuclear weapons in the hands of a lunatic. Thank you very much.
All right, so just in case you missed it, that was on our previous live stream right here on Right Side as you're taking a live look at the great Jefferson Memorial there in Washington, D.C. It's 12:57, Monday, April 6th, 3 minutes out from the top of the hour. That's when we're hearing that the president will have a news conference with some military members there to talk about that second pilot, both pilots actually, that were rescued when their F-15 was shot down in Iran. They were ejected. They ejected out of that plane and they were able to rescue both. And I'm sure the president will be taking other questions just like he did there. So in a way, it's the first time I've seen in a long time where President Trump's taken two sets of press gaggle questions like this at such a close proximity of time with the 1 o'clock event, and then also just within the past hour taking on questions as well. So we're going to watch that here live with you. Let's go to some of our sponsors before we get ready to go to the White House. As soon as we see that live feed, we'll take you there. Let's go to our first sponsor here as it's once again about 1 o'clock. All Family Pharmacy. Most Americans, take preparation seriously. We prepare financially, we prep our homes, we plan for emergencies, but when it comes to healthcare, most people are still waiting until someone or something goes wrong. And by then you're dealing with delays and limited access. And then a system that doesn't always come through. There's a smarter way to handle all of this. All Family Pharmacy lets you get ahead of it. You go online, you request the medications you want on hand, and then you fill out a short medical form. A licensed doctor reviews your request. If appropriate, they write the prescription and ship it straight to your door within days. So there's no insurance required, no waiting rooms, no middleman. And then you get to keep the essentials stocked and ready. Things like antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, NAD+. How about hydroxychloroquine? It took me a while to learn how to say that one. Hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and over 400 prescription medications that millions of Americans rely on every single day. So this is really what taking control of your healthcare actually looks like. Not waiting for the system to help you, but if you believe in preparation and in medical freedom and in having real options when it matters most, All Family Pharmacy has your back. So you can go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, get that 10% off using the RSBN 10 promo code. Let's go to Cove Pier as we await the White House live feed. You've heard us talk about Cove Pier before. And if the water scares that happened in Flint, Michigan and East Palestine, Ohio weren't enough to get you to make the switch, well, this might, because more than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with PFAs in it. They're man-made chemicals used in food packaging or non-stick cookware, firefighting foam, all kinds of stuff. Scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there. They don't break down. And they're linked to hormone disruption, immune damage, and increased cancer risk. But here's the part that may make you angry. The EPA has actually set legal limits for PFAS in drinking water back in 2024, but the water systems have until 2031 to comply. So that's 5 whole years from now. Until that deadline arrives, a utility can actually be operating above the legal limit right now and isn't required to notify you, so you're just drinking that water, I don't know how many drink tap water out there, but I don't. It's definitely not smart, right? So that's why you need to have a machine like this. Cove Pier is specifically talking about this as well, that the government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it yet. So which means if you want clean, healthy water, you're going to have to do it yourself. So Cove Pier was engineered exactly for this. Unlike the normal pitcher filters you get at the store, their Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of the contaminants. So those PFAs, how about heavy metals or fluoride or pharmaceuticals? The filtered particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. So, and the best part about Cove Pier is they make it so easy. It actually sits right on your countertop. You're not going to need to drill any holes or call someone in to get it installed. You just plug it in, and you can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm, with a tap of a button. So you don't have to wait 5 years. You don't have to wait till 2031. You can take control of your water quality right now and head to covepier.com/RSBN. And because you're a viewer of this broadcast, RSBN Live, right here at 102 Eastern, you'll get $250 off right now. That's covepier.com/RSBN. Great product. A lot of great products that we have here that sponsor us at Right Side Broadcasting Network. As you see at the bottom of your screen, moments away, there is a presidential press conference with the Department of War. That's happening at the White House. We'll bring it to you live as soon as we see that live feed. In the meantime, as we await that, just checking over any new headlines at this point. Nothing breaking like this specific second that we're seeing. But there's a lot of stories to talk about, as you guys know. Anything from the Save America Act to the DHS funding issue, it's still not our government's still partially shut down because of the Democrats in this situation. And then on top of that, Operation Epic Fury, and just many stories that are happening out there. And we've been monitoring and checking it out, and are live right here, of course, for you, and getting ready to go to the White House in just a minute. Now, President Trump spoke with a number of reporters after this Easter egg roll 2026 at the White House earlier. He also sat with some of the kids there and just had a good time, just talking with them and, signing autographs and blowing the whistle for the Easter egg roll, all the things, the tradition that's dated back to the 1800s. But he also, again, spoke to reporters. So let's go to that clip, number 9, as we are awaiting the White House live feed. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks again for live streaming in. Let's go back to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Who's going to be at the press conference? Who's not going to be? Nobody. So, hey, Tiffany, there you go. Coordinate.
Mr. President, how would it not be a war crime to strike Iran's bridges and power plants?
Because they killed 45,000 people in the last month, more than that. I think it could be as much as 60. They kill protesters, they're animals. And we have to stop them, and we can't let them have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. They want a nuclear weapon. They've been trying for a long time. I stopped them with the Obama horrible Iran nuclear deal. I stopped them in a lot of different ways. We got rid of Soleimani, the evil genius. He was an evil genius. We got rid of him. And then we stopped him with the B-2 bombers not so long ago. And if we didn't do it, Israel and the Middle East would have been extinguished by now.
All right, so that was from within the past hour or two right here live on Right Side Broadcasting Network as we get ready to go to the White House. It looks like everything's geared up and ready to go. So as soon as we see that feed start, we'll send it over there. In the meantime, let's go through our sponsors. Without our sponsors and without our donations here at the network, we want to be able to cover all of the events that are happening, including April 17th, President Trump out there in the Southwest. Hello to you in Arizona that are watching today. President Trump will be there to speak for a TPUSA event. We'll have our crew on the ground there as well. So things like that. So thank you so much to our sponsors and our people that donate here to Right Side, including, of course, our sponsor, Kalshi.com/RSBN. You have 3 ways to get to them: QR code or Kalshi.com/RSBN. And the third way, of course, you can download the Kalshi app if you like. So it's betting, it's trading, but it's also checking out polls out there. All sorts of stuff going on when it comes to Kalshi.com, including questions like when is the DHS, when's the partial government shutdown going to end? People are on there polling and putting money on the line for it. So great sponsor here, Kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's also go to Birch Gold Group. When the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was fixed at $35 an ounce. So gold was fixed at $35 an ounce in 1971. And if you fast forward to 2026, the US dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. So gold, on the other hand, has increased in value by more than 12,000%. That's why a number of central banks and others out there are buying gold at record levels. And here at RSBN, we encourage you to consider diversifying your savings with physical gold from Birch Gold Group, but it starts with education. Birch Gold just announced this Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. It's a free online event, and it rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. So you can sign up to get free silver on your next purchase, get even larger incentives as you go. So the more you learn, the more you can earn. But you must act now, as this special event only runs until the end of the month, April 30th. The dollar lost its anchor in 1971. You don't have to lose yours. So just text the word Trump to the number 989898 that you see there on your screen to join Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event by April 30th. Text Trump to 989898 today. All right, so good afternoon once again. It's sunny, decent skies there, getting warmer in our nation's capital. Looking at the Jefferson Memorial there right now live. It's 107, and as soon as we see that feed, we'll take you there to the White House. So at the top of the hour, the White House video that we're going to see live will be President Trump's presidential news conference that's happening today at 1 o'clock, a few minutes after. All this as we're monitoring numerous stories at this hour, including the latest on the Save America Act. As of right now, of course, Congress is on recess. They'll be back on the 13th, maybe a few days early. That'd be kind of cool, right? To get that thing hopefully passed through ending the filibuster, which we don't have the numbers yet for that, but we could maybe try at least and talk about it. When it comes to needing 51 Senate Republicans to say, you know what, we need photo ID for voting. We need proof of citizenship. That's not a bad thing to have. How about all these other countries have it? Why don't we want that here? We're also talking about the ongoing DHS shutdown and, of course, Operation Epic Fury, as we're about 25 seconds or so away from tossing it to the White House, as my director just let me know. So let's do that here in just a few seconds. Now, we are seeing that this is going to be in the James S. Brady press briefing room. There were some reports before. Will it be at the Oval Office, or will it be at the White House press briefing spot where, you know, Carolyn Leavitt is usually seen? So we're going to go to President Trump here and any second from now. Thanks again for live streaming. My name is Matthew Alvarez. If you'd like to follow on Truth Social, at Matthew Alvarez. Also on X, at Matthew US Media. And you can follow us on Right Side Broadcasting Network as well, at RSBN on Truth and at RSB Network on X. Let's go to the White House.
It's a great honor to be with you, and happy Easter. We had a great Easter. This is one of our better Easters, I think, in a lot of different ways. I can say militarily, it's been one of the best. So, good afternoon. We have quite a bit to discuss. We'll go into pretty good detail, and we have the people that are most involved. We'll give you exactitude. And we're here today to celebrate the success of one of the largest, most complex, most harrowing combat searches. I guess you would call it a search and rescue mission ever attempted by the military. Generally, when planes are knocked down in war, especially when you're fighting a strong group, an evil group, you can't really do this because you send in 200 men to pick up one. And it's something that's usually not attempted as much as you want to attempt. And bad things happen to that one or two. And in this case, we did two, and it might not have been attempted before. But we did. And we had great talent, but we got a little luck, too, I would say. And we were helped by a lot of people, a lot of great people. And it was an honor to be involved with it. It's very historic. This is a rescue that's very historic. It'll go down in the books. Late Thursday night, an American F-15 fighter jet went down deep inside enemy territory in Iran while participating in Operation Epic Fury, where we're doing unbelievably well, well at a level that nobody's ever seen before. The entire country can be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night. Both members of the crew ejected from the aircraft and landed alive. On Iranian soil, I immediately was asked to make a decision. I ordered the U.S. Armed Forces to do whatever was necessary to bring our brave warriors back home. A risky decision, because we could have ended up with 100 dead as opposed to 1 or 2. It's a hard decision to make. But in the United States military, we leave no American behind. We don't do it. Within hours, our armed forces deployed 21 military aircraft into hostile airspace, many flying at very low altitude, being shot by bullets. You bring rifles into play when you're going that low, but there are also certain advantages. And in broad daylight over Iran for 7 hours, at times facing very, very heavy enemy fire. We have a helicopter that's got a lot of bullets in it. It's amazing. We just realized how good those weapons are. Our machines are. Nobody has the equipment that we have, and nobody has the military that we have. Not even close. We're the most powerful military anywhere in the world by far. The flight crews and warfighters aboard those aircraft took extraordinary risks to rescue their fellow service members. This first wave of search and rescue forces successfully located the pilot of the F-15, and he was extracted from enemy territory by an HH-60 Jolly Green II helicopter. Fabulous machine as our warriors faced gunfire at very close range. It's amazing that when you look at the machinery, what happened, that nobody was injured. Meanwhile, the second crew member, a weapons system officer, highly respected colonel, had landed a significant distance away from the pilot. When you're going at those speeds, even if you go out 2 or 3 seconds later, it's miles and miles away because you're going fast. He was injured quite badly and stranded in an area teeming with terrorists from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps rough group, as well as besieged militia and local authorities. Many, on top of everything else, they told the communities actually within side of Iran, the people of Iran, they were given a tremendous incentive to find this pilot. Despite the peril, the officer followed his training and climbed into the treacherous mountain terrain and started climbing toward a higher altitude, something they were trained to do in order to evade capture. They want to always go as far away from the site of the shoot down. You want to go as far away because they all head right to that site. You want to be as far away as you can. And he was injured, and he was an amazing, amazing thing. He scaled cliff faces, bleeding rather profusely, treated his own wounds, and contacted American forces to transmit his location. They have a very sophisticated beeper-type apparatus that is on them at all times. And when they go out on these missions, they make sure they have lots of battery space and they're in good shape. And this one worked really well, amazingly, saved his life. We immediately mobilized a massive operation to retrieve him from the mountain holdout, and he kept going higher and higher. The mountain kept getting rougher and rougher and really very, very hard to find. The second rescue mission involved 155 aircraft, including 4 bombers, 64 fighters, 48 refueling tankers, 13 rescue aircraft, and more. We were bringing them all over, and a lot of it was subterfuge. We wanted to have them think he was in a different location because they had a vast military force out there. Thousands of people were looking. So we wanted them to look in different areas, so we were scattered all over like we were right on top of them. We had 7 different locations where they thought, and they were very confused. They said, well, wait a minute, they've got groups here, they've got groups there. It's an amazing thing. I was listening to these great people, these great generals. General Raisin Kane was amazing, and Pete Hegseth was amazing. But I listened to the whole thing. It was pretty amazing. So they had all these different sites where everybody thought he was located. We think we have him over there because they have 9 planes circling a little area that's 25 miles down the coast. So in a breathtaking show of skill and precision, lethality and force, America's military descended on the area, the real area, engaged the enemy, rescued the stranded officer, destroyed all threats, and exited Iranian territory while taking no casualties of any kind. The heroic F-15 weapons system officer had evaded capture on the ground in Iran for almost 48 hours. That's a long time when you're in tough shape and when you're bleeding. It's a long time. When we left, as you probably know, we had 2 large planes, pretty old planes. It carried a lot. We needed a lot more equipment going in than coming out, obviously, because going in, we needed to be able to scale mountains. And we had a lot of equipment. But the sand was sandy, wet sand. So we thought there may be a problem taking off because of the weight of the plane, and then we also had all the men jumping back onto the planes, and they got pretty well bogged down, and we had a contingency plan, which was unbelievable, where lighter, faster aircraft came in, and they took them out. We blew up the old planes. We blew them up to smithereens because we had equipment on the planes that, frankly, we'd like to take, but I don't think it was worthwhile spending another 4 hours there taking it off. So we didn't want anybody to have, we have the best equipment anywhere in the world. We didn't want anybody examining our anti-aircraft and other equipment. So these were large planes that were old and pretty old, and we blew them up. And we had faster, lighter planes come in, and they were able to land on the sand. We needed the bigger planes because we had so much equipment that we needed. We took 3 helicopters over there, which were very strongly used, and couldn't have lived without them. They did, and they performed unbelievably well. And if you'd see it, you wouldn't believe it. They came off the plane, and these guys had them. The rotors were off. They rebuilt these helicopters in less than 10 minutes. And that was one of the more amazing things. These are helicopters, small, unbelievably powerful, but small, very small, so it can get into certain areas. And they got them off the plane, and they rebuilt all 3 of them in a matter of less than 10 minutes. It's pretty amazing what the genius of these people. Who would think that? You'd think it would take 5 days to build them. And in some companies, it would take 5 days, and they wouldn't do it well. But they served us well. As Commander-in-Chief, I never forget the extraordinary risk taken by the warriors that we send into battle, and the genius. I mean, think of it, having a contingency of 3 planes waiting because we think the sand is so bad that we probably won't be able to take off. And the planes really got bogged. This was not much of a runway. This was a farm, not a runway. It's a farm, but it did the trick. But to have a contingency as opposed to having to wait 2 days, can you imagine right in the middle? This was central. This was right, you would call it central casting if you were doing a movie for location. And probably the toughest area of Iran where we'd be sitting there. So these planes came in, those pilots came in so fast and so quick and got out of there. Everybody got aboard and just got 15-minute intervals. 1 load out, 1 load out, 1 load out. It happened, and we were watching, and we said, "That's amazing." It's in many ways, I was almost more impressed by the contingency that we had than the fact that if we would have had a runway or decent soil. But it was an amazing thing. But we thank God for every single one of them. And the talent, the genius is not even talent, it's genius. It's the whole ball game, every one of them. If you look at what we did with Maduro, we went into a military compound, a massive, with thousands and thousands of soldiers, and within a matter of minutes, and he lived behind iron doors. There were steel doors, broke them down so quickly, and within almost minutes, he was in the back of these planes. It was a similar group. Incredible. We have incredibly talented people. And if the time comes, we move heaven and earth to bring them home safely. We're going to bring our people home safely. I want to thank every member of the U.S. Armed Forces involved in these historic operations. They really were historic. It's just not something that's done. And you'd understand it. Not that they don't want to do it, but when you're going into areas, when you look at these helicopters, when you look at the amount of bullets and everything else that they took, when you go into these areas, you don't come out like we came out. God was watching us. I tell you, well, it was the Easter. We were in the Easter territory, I guess, but God was watching us. Amazing, because when you look at the machinery, they took damage. It tells you. First thing I said is these are unbelievable machines. How they flew back and not even much of a problem. But these 2 extraordinary rescues, because it was 2, and as you probably know, we didn't talk about the first one for an hour. And then somebody leaked something, which we'll hopefully find that leaker. We're looking very hard to find that leaker. And talked about there's somebody missing. They basically said that we have one and there's somebody missing. Well, they didn't know there was somebody missing until this leaker gave the information. So whoever it was, we think we'll be able to find it out because we're going to go to the media company that released it, and we're going to say, national security, give it up or go to jail. And we know who, and you know who we're talking about, because some things you can't do. Because when they did that, all of a sudden, the entire country of Iran knew that there was a pilot that was somewhere on their land that was fighting for his life. And it also made it much more difficult for the pilots and for the people going in to search for him. All of a sudden, they know that there's somebody out there. They see all these planes coming in. It became a much more difficult operation because a leaker leaked that we have one, we've rescued one, but there's another one out there that we're trying to get. So actually, the country, Iran, put out a major notice, you all saw it, offering a very big award for anybody that captures the pilot. So in addition to a hostile, very talented, very good, very evil military, we had millions of people trying to get an award. So when you add that to it, but we have to find that leaker because that's a sick person. Probably didn't realize the extent of how bad it was. I can't imagine that the person did, but we're going to find out. It's national security, and the person that did the story will go to jail if he doesn't say, and that doesn't last long, and I think everybody would understand it. They put this mission at great risk. They put that man at great risk, and they put the hundreds of people that went in looking for him, because everyone now knows that we're going in. Over the past 37 days, America's armed forces have carried out more than 10,000 combat flights over Iran, unheard of, striking more than 13,000 targets. The F-15 we lost last week was the first manned aircraft downed by the enemy in this entire operation with thousands and thousands of flights. They got lucky. It was a lucky hit. You know, eventually you get lucky. But we got lucky too because we got both of them back. But it's a record that is unparalleled in the history of military air operations. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's such an honor to be involved with it. We were up late at night, and then we were waiting for those contingent planes to come in, and we say, come on, let's go, get in, because they're waiting out on this farm without a runway, with wet, crummy soil, sand, mostly sand, wet sand, and it eats planes alive, and we're waiting, and we're saying, I hope that one can land and take off. And they came in like magic, boom, 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 one after another. It was like genius. I'm so impressed by that. Because we were a little concerned. We said, boy, if they don't get in and get up fast, we're sitting in them. And that's called Iran Prime, right, General? That's where the whole bet is. And here we are sitting there waiting for a plane. But they came in so fast and so hard, and these guys knew exactly what to do. Let's go, come on, get in, let's go, Pwah. They came one right after another, not at the same time. They don't want to come at the same time. They had to come right after each other. They didn't have any room. There was barely any room to land. Tiny little patch of very wet earth and sand. So I'm so proud of the people that I have standing up here with me and many others that worked. I mean, so many. Steve Witkoff's over here. He's doing fantastically. Jared Kushner. But the people that are here, the job they did is amazing. And I think I'm going to introduce the head of the CIA, and he is a man he's central casting, okay? If we cast a movie, he's going to play the head of the CIA. He's one of the few. John Ratcliffe, he did a phenomenal job that night. He did something that I don't know if you want to talk about it. If you want, you can. I'm not sure you're supposed to. I'm not going to talk about it. But the CIA was very responsible for finding this little speck. It's like they used an expression on one of the shows. A general was talking about, it's like finding a needle in a haystack, finding this pilot. And the CIA was unbelievable. And you may, if you can, you'll talk. It might be classified, in which case I'd have to put him in jail if he talks about it. And I don't want to put him in jail. He doesn't deserve that. So, John, do you want to say a few words? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a privilege to be here with you today to share what we can about this exceptional mission and to recognize the ingenuity and bravery of those who executed it, as well as the leadership and resolve of the president who ordered it. One thing that has been clear to me in this role is that the flawless military operations that the Department of War is known for are hostage to flawless intelligence. We saw that in the skies over Iran in Operation Midnight Hammer last summer. We witnessed it in Venezuela during Operation Absolute Resolve. We've seen it against the cartels in the Western Hemisphere, and we're seeing it every day in Operation Epic Fury, including this mission to rescue an aviator buried deep behind enemy lines. Because it is the unique tradition of the U.S. Armed Forces that we leave no man or woman behind, this was a no-fail mission. That was the spirit in which the President put us to work, and we were determined not to let him down or our airmen down. As an agency, the CIA possesses unique capabilities that only the President can deploy. Some of these capabilities fall under covert action authorities, and because covert means exactly that, I'm not going to be able to tell you everything that you want to know. At the President's direction, we deployed both human assets and exquisite technologies that no other intelligence service in the world possesses to a daunting challenge, comparable to hunting for a single grain of sand in the middle of a desert. This was also a race against the clock, as it was critical that we locate the downed aviator as quickly as possible, while at the same time keeping our enemies misdirected. For that reason, in addition to the human and technical assets deployed by the President to find our airmen, CIA executed a deception campaign to confuse the Iranians who were desperately hunting for our airmen. On Saturday morning, we achieved our primary objective by finding and providing confirmation that one of America's best and bravest was alive and concealed in a mountain crevice, still invisible to the enemy, but not to the CIA. That confirmation was relayed by Secretary Hegseth to the President, and the operation quickly moved to the execution phase. Following the successful exfiltration on Saturday night, our intelligence reflects that the Iranians were embarrassed and ultimately humiliated by the success of this audacious rescue mission. When the President asked me to lead the CIA, he made it clear: get back to basics, no politics, no agendas, tackle the hardest problems, and execute the toughest missions. This President is about results, and now that's what his CIA is about too. The professionals at the agency and at the Department of War deserve immense credit for their flawless execution during this daring mission. Their skill, creativity, and courage are unmatched on the battlefield wherever they step. But none of that matters, and all of that is wasted without a President with the political courage to put them into action. Mr. President, I've had the privilege of seeing you act with political courage in the best interest of the United States up close on a daily basis, and I'm grateful that this successful mission has given the American people a window into that as well. The Secretary and Chairman will tell you that our service members' confidence is boosted by a Commander-in-Chief who has their back the same way they have yours. And I know that the confidence of CIA's officers is boosted by the knowledge that their work is informing a President who's not afraid to make the hardest decisions when the stakes are highest. And to the American people, your confidence should be boosted by knowing that the security of the nation is in the hands of a President who's willing to take on problems that have confounded both sides of the political aisle for nearly half a century. It is an honor to serve under a leader who just proved that you can believe him when he says, no matter what, we will leave no one behind. We will come for you. Thank you.
Well, John, thank you for the collaboration of the CIA as well. Incredible and ongoing partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Americans, and especially the brave warriors in our armed forces, over this Easter weekend, the United States military has once again proved why we possess the greatest fighting force the world has ever known. In two extraordinary combat search and rescue operations deep inside enemy territory in Iran, our warriors executed missions of breathtaking skill, courage, and precision. When our warriors are unleashed, as this president has allowed them to be, they are unstoppable. When American airmen were down behind enemy lines, our forces and our president did not hesitate. Special operators supported by elite air crews and intelligence professionals moved swiftly and decisively into treacherous mountain terrain under the constant threat of Iranian forces closing in. Ultimately, it was an impotent Iranian threat. And today, as the CIA director mentioned, Iran's military, and we know this, is embarrassed and humiliated, and they should be. Now, these are not routine operations. They were high-risk, high-stakes missions conducted in the heart of enemy territory. This was not just barely into Iran, this was deep into Iran, involving coordinated strikes to suppress threats, deception tactics to protect our teams, and full synchronization across air, ground, and special operations. The Iranians are still asking themselves right now, how did the Americans do this? One downed airman evaded capture for more than a day, scaling rugged ridges while hunted by the enemy. When he was finally able to activate his emergency transponder, his first message was simple, and it was powerful. He sent a message, God is good. In that moment of isolation and danger, his faith and fighting spirit shone through. You see, shot down on a Friday, Good Friday, hidden in a cave, a crevice, all of Saturday, and rescued on Sunday. Flown out of Iran as the sun was rising on Easter Sunday. A pilot reborn, all home and accounted for, a nation rejoicing. God is good. Despite incoming fire and unforgiving conditions, our troops brought every American home. No American lives were lost. We leave no man behind, and that is not luck. It's the result of unmatched training, superior technology, an unbreakable warrior ethos, and sheer American grit. Our special operators, pilots, and support crews performed with near perfection under fire, and they were lethal. Just ask any Iranian soldier who dared attempt to get anywhere near that pilot before or during that mission. Death from above. Our troops turned a potential tragedy into a resounding demonstration of American resolve and capability. That's what excellence in uniform looks like. But make no mistake about it. None of this would have been possible without the courageous leadership and ironclad determination of President Donald J. Trump. From the moment our airmen went down, President Trump made it clear we will leave no one behind. The first mission, the first of two, was an audacious daylight thunder run right up the middle. It was authorized in less than 2 hours from that pilot going down when we knew where he was. And it was authorized in the middle of the night, because anybody that's worked for this man knows he's up in the middle of the night. Authorized immediately, without hesitation, audaciously. The second mission, as soon as we knew where that pilot was, and John was certainly helpful in that, also executed immediately. You know, I looked up at my screen when the final mission was complete inside our SCIF, our secure facility. And we have a running VTC, a running coordination cell. And the top of it read 45 hours and 56 minutes. For 45 hours and 56 minutes, we held that call open for coordination. From the moment our pilots went down, our mission was unblinking. The call never dropped, the meeting never stopped, the planning never ceased. The president demanded rapid, decisive action. He backed our military with the full weight of his resolve, refusing to let enemy propaganda or tactical setbacks deter us. His leadership ensured that every lethal and non-lethal resource was brought to bear, that our forces had the authorities and the support they needed to succeed. When the president says he has the backs of our warfighters, he means it. And it means a great deal, and it's a big difference on the battlefield. President Trump understands that peace through strength is not a slogan. It is a doctrine that saves American lives. His unwavering commitment to rebuilding our military and restoring the warrior spirit has paid dividends in missions just like this one. Under his command, America projects power with confidence and brings our people home with victory. And that continues today, by the way. Per the president's direction, today will be the largest volume of strikes since day one of this operation. Tomorrow, even more than today. And then Iran has a choice. Choose wisely, because this president does not play around. You can ask Soleimani, you can ask Maduro, you can ask Khomeini. To those heroes who planned and executed these rescues, your nation stands in awe. I stand in awe. The chairman stands in awe. We all stand in awe of your professionalism and bravery. We serve for you. You embody the very best of America. To the rescued airmen and their families, welcome home. Your courage and endurance, the quiet declaration of faith amid the storm, inspires us all. God is good every day. And to our adversaries watching from Tehran, let this be a clear message. The United States military will go anywhere, at any time, to protect our own and complete the mission. We execute with precision. We control the skies. You see, we flew for 7 hours in daylight over Iran to get the first pilot. And we flew 7 hours in the middle of the night to get the second. And Iran did nothing about it. We fight with honor, and under President Trump's leadership, we win. So God bless our troops, God bless President Trump, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. A note before I start, I know many of you want specific details in these briefings. We will share what we can, but I will retain what I must in the event that we have to go do this again sometime. And I cannot stress the importance, as the President said, around operational security. The Secretary and I will do a more detailed briefing tomorrow morning, and we look forward to sharing the details that we can. On Thursday, 2 April at 10:10 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:40 in the morning, local Iran time, the Joint Personnel Recovery Center, which handles the Central Command area of responsibility, declared an isolated personnel recovery event for a U.S. Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle, call sign Dude 44, which was down in hostile Iranian territory. The pilot and weapons system officer had both safely ejected and were isolated behind enemy lines. Following confirmation of active rescue beacons and on the direction of the Secretary and by order of the President, a rescue operation was launched with the stated purpose of bringing both Americans home safely. As the Secretary said, several hours later on the morning, after positively locating the front seater, call sign Dude 44 Alpha, and aware of an aggressive ongoing search by the enemy, a U.S. Central Command plan was approved by the Secretary and the President. Shortly thereafter, a U.S. Air Force Combat Search and Rescue Task Force, comprised of A-10 Warthogs in their Sandy role, and I'll describe what that is in a minute, HC-130 Combat King 2s, HH-60 Jolly Green 2 helicopters, and Air Force Special Warfare Airmen, a package comprised of combat rescue officers and pararescueman operators, audaciously penetrated enemy territory in broad daylight to find, fix, and recover Dude 44 Alpha from behind enemy lines. This was an incredibly dangerous mission, an incredibly dangerous undertaking, but a filled promise made to every American warfighter that you will not be left behind. We will always come find you and we will always bring you home. Over the next hours, the Search and Rescue Task Force crossed the beach, entered into Iranian airspace, protected by a fighter strike package, and moved into the objective area, all under fire. En route, as some of you have seen on social media, the helicopters took gas off the C-130s and pressed onward and forward up into the objective area. While this was ongoing and out in front of them, the Sandy flight of A-10s and other remotely piloted aircraft, drones, and other tactical aircraft were violently suppressing and engaging the enemy in a close-in gunfight to keep them away from the front seater and allow the pickup force to get into the objective area. During this engagement, one of the Sandy aircraft, the one primarily responsible for communicating with the downed pilot, was hit by enemy fire. This pilot continued to fight, continued the mission, and then upon exit, flew his aircraft into another country and determined that the airplane was not landable. This was one of our A-10 Sandy aircraft. The pilot then made the decision to eject over friendly territory and was quickly and safely recovered and is doing fine. After picking up Dude 44 Alpha, the HH-60 Jolly Green fight was engaged by every single person in Iran who had a small arms weapon. And one of the aircraft, the trailing aircraft, took several hits. The crew sustained minor injury, and they are going to be fine. A note for those of you that do not know what a Sandy does. Named after the flight call sign that did this very mission in Vietnam, flying A-1 Sky Raiders and A-7 Corsairs, a Sandy has one mission: get to the survivor, bring the rescue force forward, and put themselves between that survivor on the ground and the enemy. They are committed to this. This is what they live for, and this is what they've trained for over many, many years. The A-10 force and the rescue force did a fantastic job rescuing Dude 44 Alpha. He was recovered Friday afternoon. As I said, and the nation needs to know this, this was an incredibly brave and courageous mission, and a testament to the courage, skill, and tenacity of the joint force and our leaders. And especially a daylight option, having the guts to try, means so much to so many. Meanwhile, the backseater, as the President and the Secretary have said, had continued to work and survive. Through the hours of daylight, Dude 44 Bravo, the backseater, evaded. Using every means available, the efforts of the United States military, the Central Intelligence Agency, and others were attempting to find and locate with precision Dude 44 Bravo, the backseater. A note on the backseater and the front seater. The single most important contributor to a successful rescue operation is the spirit of attack inside the heart of that downed aviator. Their will to survive, their will to evade, their will to recover is everything. In this case, the backseater's absolute commitment to surviving made much of our efforts possible. On Saturday, 4 April, after establishing positive communications with the backseater, we learned, as the President said, that he was injured and actively evading enemy forces. And thanks to our interagency partners, we were able to get eyes on his location and positively ID him. Throughout this entire time, the enemy force continued to search for 44 Bravo, and the joint force continued to strike them over and over and over again. Fighting off marginal weather in Iran and the enemy's search for a second time on Saturday, at the recommendation of the CENTCOM commander and at the approval of the Secretary and the President, we launched a rescue task force to recover Dude 44 Bravo. Again, this came to the President and the Secretary for approval, this time with a much larger force package based on the time that the enemy had to prepare to find 44 Bravo. Again, this force was protected by A-10 Warthogs using the Sandy call sign. And this force had one single mission: do everything they can to bring an American home. This meant having a plan, being prepared to execute that plan, and more importantly, being prepared for multiple simultaneous contingencies. And because of this force's professionalism, grit, and determination, fight off two enemies at the same time. The enemy searching for 4-4 Bravo and contingencies, which anyone who has done these types of missions knows we run into every single time. The force fought off both of those enemies incredibly well. During the period of darkness on Saturday, and as the Secretary said, into Easter Sunday and into the daylight, the force fought its way in and rescued Dude 4-4 Bravo. They were protected overhead by an air armada, including tactical drones, strike aircraft, and others. The force fought through multiple simultaneous contingencies, something no other nation, no other military can do, and safely returned Dude 4-4 Bravo, the backseater, home, and all other Americans home as well. At midnight 12 local Eastern time, Easter Sunday, more than 50 hours after the start of this operation, the Joint Personnel Recovery Center declared Dude 4-4 Bravo, both the front and backseater, returned to friendly territory. The courage demonstrated by both the pilot and the weapons system officer while isolated and them invading the enemy cannot be overstated. Their grit and warfighting tenacity is a direct result of the absolute trust they have in our rescue forces, their training, and their will to survive and return. They always knew that we would be ordered to go get them, and they always knew that we would be coming to get them. These two operations reflect our nation's most sacred obligation to our military service members. We leave no one behind, bless you. It also perfectly captures the first truth of our special operations forces, that people are more important than hardware. That is the standard we live by, and the rescue forces that execute these missions operate under a clear motto: these things we do that others may live. Their actions were a direct embodiment of that commitment to others, and I could not be more proud of each and every one of them today. As the Secretary said to our enemies, this operation serves as a clear reminder of the capability and will of America's joint force. The United States of America will recover our warfighters anywhere in the world, under any conditions, when we want to. We will always bring overwhelming skill and firepower. To every member of the joint force, our interagency partners, the leadership at CENTCOM, and our leaders at the department and above, thank you. I'm proud of each and every one of you and thankful to our deployed forces and their families. And lastly, and most importantly, to Dude 4-4, welcome home. Job well done. Thank you.
Pretty amazing, pretty amazing. And these two gentlemen have been, from day one, they've been perfecto. You know, I got to know General Kane in my first term because he was able to take out ISIS in 4 weeks instead of the 4-year projection that was given to me by other much lesser generals. And I said, you know, if I ever do this again, that's going to be the head of my Joint Chiefs of Staff. And we worked it that way, didn't we? It's amazing. He took out ISIS. We defeated ISIS in 4 weeks. I was told it would take 4 years. I flew to Iraq to find out with the greatest equipment in the world, why would it take 4 years? And he told me, sir, it won't. It'll take 4 weeks and you'll have time left over. And that's exactly what happened. So he's great. And Pete, all I can say is that he was treated very unfairly. And now those same people that treated him unfairly, that fought against him, they called me up saying, what a great choice he was. They said, well, what happened during his nomination? What happened to you? I'm telling you, people that were not for him, senators, friends of mine, sir, I don't think you're doing the right thing. Now they're calling me up. What a choice. These two guys are fantastic. And John Ratcliffe was incredible. I was actually there genius that called us from, he was 40 miles away, and he said, you know, we're seeing something moving up in the mountain. This is at night. And they kept the camera on him for 45 minutes. He wasn't moving, and they said, you know, probably wrong, but we're seeing something moving. This is a vast mountain, vast, thick, with bushes, trees. He said, we see something moving 40 miles away. It was the head of a human being, I'm telling you, it's moving. And then all of a sudden, 45 minutes later, he moved a lot. He stood up, and they said, we have him. And that was really the beginning of something incredible. We had an idea where he was, but not specifically. It's a big mountain. So I want to thank the CIA, too. I don't think they get enough credit for the great job they've done. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for this great opportunity. Country, it has super army. You make a difference, Mr. President. Thank you for your greatest leadership.
Thank you.
I have two quick questions, Mr. President. What was your reaction when you learned that Kurdistan region had resumed exporting oil to the international market with your support as United States of America?
Well, I expected that. We've gotten along with the Kurds for a long time, so I expected that.
Another question, what would be your reaction if the Iranian people rise up against their regime during a ceasefire, Mr. President?
Well, they should do it, but again, the consequences are great. I mean, they were told, if you protest, you will be shot immediately. You saw what happened to the young wrestler. He was a great champion, by the way. He was a great wrestler, one of the top in the world. And he and his two friends were hung. And all they did was say a little bit about liberty. They wanted liberty, and they were violently executed. But the number is up to probably 45,000 people were killed. So, you know, when somebody stays in a house, when they know if they walk out of the house to protest, they'll be immediately shot and killed. And they issued that, you know, that was publicly issued. It's not a secret. That's why so many people say, oh, well, why are you doing this way? We can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You know, we got regime change, we do. We're dealing with a much different regime than before. We're dealing with different people. They're smarter. I think they're sharper and far less radical. We have regime change, but we didn't do this for regime change. We did it for the fact, and my view was very simple. I saw somebody said, oh, he doesn't have a plan. I have the best plan of all, but I'm not going to tell you what my plan is. You know, they want me to say, here's my plan. We're going to attack at 9:47 in the morning, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to... And if you don't do that, they say, I have a plan. These people know what the plan is. Everybody here knows what the plan is. But it's very unfair to say, we don't, because I don't mind being insulted. I've been insulted for many years by the fake news. But you can't... It's so bad for people that are so pro... You just saw two great, and John Ratcliffe, three unbelievable people. They have a plan. Every single thing has been thought out by all of us. But I can't reveal the plan to the media. So, you know, but we're just thrilled by the success of this operation. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've said Iranians would be mad if you stopped these attacks, but why would they want you to blow up their infrastructure, to cut off their power? Wouldn't that be punishing Iranians for the actions of the regime?
They would be willing to, and it's suffering, they would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. The Iranians have, and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not hitting those areas, they're saying, please come back, come back, come back. These are the people. I don't know what they do. All I can tell you is they want freedom. They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. It's a violent, horrible world where if you protest, you are shot. Remember the great woman protests where they had 400,000, 500,000 women, and they were all enthused and they were going to protest, and everybody said, oh, the regime's going to come to an end. And then all of a sudden, boom, boom, 5, 6 different areas. A woman would go down right between the eyes. They had snipers. They had 5 snipers. That's all it took. And those 400,000 or 500,000 women said, "Oh my God, what's that? Oh, look over there. What's that?" A woman shot right between the eyes. And after 5 or 6 of them go down, then you start hearing the purr through the vast number of people. And then they said, "Oh my God, who would do that?" And they're incredible people, but they've lived so horribly. They've lived so horribly. You know, Iran was a great country if you go back 25 years ago or so. The Persian people, they're incredible, smart, brilliant actually. And I know so many. I know coming from New York, originally I know so many people from Iran. They're incredible people, incredible energy and very, very brilliant people. But when you're standing in a group and protesting and you have a woman, in the case of the woman, remember the Great Woman March, everybody was saying, "Oh, this is the end of the country." And then snipers selectively picked. Every single one was shot right between the eyes from a long distance. They were on top of buildings. Nobody even knew where they were. Where are they coming from? This wasn't like a machine gun, which is also very bad. They've done that too. They did that recently. This was snipers sitting on the top of buildings, aiming and hitting women. And when they see people go down, and all of a sudden there's a riot in the reverse direction, and they never came out again. And a lot of the news doesn't talk about that. They talk about, oh, women's rights. You want to see women's rights? You're not going to see it there. It's amazing when I see some of the stupid people like, you know, AOC plus 3, all that group. They talk about, oh, freedom for Iran. They don't tell you the real facts. Women, men, gays. How about gays for Iran? They kill the gays. They throw them off buildings. So I wonder what's going on. I can only say this. They want us to keep bombing, even if it jeopardizes, because their life is in much greater danger. They want freedom for Iran, but it's very hard for them to protest. I actually tell them, I said, don't go out. I fully understand. Nobody in this room would go out. I don't think there's any, because frankly, it's not a question of bravery. We're all brave, right? You're brave, I'm brave, we're all brave. But we're also intelligent. If you have people shooting at you, expert shots with the best rifles you can get, and hitting you right between the eyes every single time, and you're looking here and you're seeing and you're looking here, you're out of there. I don't care who it is. Please.
Mark Meredith, Fox News.
I know that.
Oh, thank you.
How would I know that? Go ahead.
America's watching. No.
Good job.
Can we go back to the weekend? First off, was everyone on board with the operation, or were there people that were trying to talk you out of going through with the operation this weekend?
Not everybody was on board.
Somebody else within
No,
you?
there was military people, very professional, that preferred not doing it. These two were totally on board, which was very important. If they weren't, I would have had a little difficulty. But no, there were military people that said, you just don't do this. You don't go into the heart of a very powerful military. You know, this is, hey, you have countries and countries. You have some countries where military is not their strong suit. This whole thing is militarized like nobody's ever seen before. Half the people are wearing uniforms. And we had people within the military. Usually it's not done. That's one of the reasons. You know, I was surprised. Somebody said it's the only time it's ever been done. I said, that's not possible. But it is possible, because you're going into hundreds of thousands of soldiers along the path. I mean, look at some of the helicopters, how they got hit. So, yeah, there were people within the military that said it's a wise. And don't forget, how many men did you send altogether, approximately, for the operation?
I'd love to keep that a secret.
Okay, well, we are. But I will tell you, the number, I'll keep it a secret, but it was hundreds. And hundreds of these people, that's pretty good. Is he central casting? But hundreds of people went into this journey. Hundreds of people could have been killed. Forget about the equipment, a lot of equipment, nobody cares. Hundreds of people could have been killed. So we had people that were within the military that said this is not a wise, and I understood that, but I decided to do it.
Was there a point that that you were thinking there's too much on the line, and somebody was saying maybe we abort this now and wait? I mean, given the resource like the general said, it seemed like there was so much on the line here. You must have been thinking this could have completely changed the next 3 years.
So the first one, which was in many ways as dangerous as the second, I guess it gets, because we're flying over daylight. You know, we're the best at the world at night. We have goggles that nobody, we have goggles, I've tried them, they're unbelievable. I see better with the goggles at night than I see without them during daylight. I mean, daylight today, we have a beautiful day. You see just as well with goggles. In many ways, it's enhanced. So we have the best in the world. So it's much safer for us to do it at night, whereas other people, no other country has that capability. They don't have that particular piece of equipment like we do. But when I was told flying and in daylight, I think we flew 7 hours over Iran, and that's a long time, over unbelievably hostile territory where they have nothing but weapons. We took out their anti-aircraft, which is great. We took out their radar, which is great. We took out a lot, but they still have, you know, what hit this one was a handheld shoulder missile, heat-seeking missile. So it's not like, you know, they're totally whatever. And they had probably a little luck, because you got to get lucky. But they shot it, and it got sucked in right by the engine. But these guys were out of there. They were great. Their timing was great. But no, I was told that this is a very dangerous mission. I understand. They didn't say it's a foolish mission. They said, you know, we're going to be sacrificing hundreds of people do this. This is, I mean, you have tankers that are flying over this area so that because the flight was so long, they had to refuel. It's a very dangerous mission. I just felt it was worth it. If you would have told me that we would have been successful, gotten both, and nobody was even essentially injured, I would have said that would be impossible. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I'll come back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Given that you are now dealing, you say, with a more reasonable, less extreme leadership in Iran, what does that mean for the protesters, for the human rights movement in that country after this conflict?
Well,
What's your
positive.
expectation?
Yeah, if they assume control, if we do something and they assume control, I think it's very positive, a big step. I don't think you'd see the radicalization that you have seen in the last. Look what happened. I mean, women are being executed because they're not properly clothed, they say. They're not properly clothed, and they execute the women. They shoot them right on the street. No, you have a much different group of people. Now, I'm not saying we are dealing with them. Essentially, they have till 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Eastern time. But we are dealing with them. I think it's going well. Mr. Witkoff is here, and JD's involved in the dealing. Mr. Witkoff is sitting right here, and I think it's going fine, but we'll have to see. You have to understand, we've been dealing with these people for 47 years. I'm standing here with a much more powerful Iran as of a month ago, not anymore. Right now, they are decapitated. But I'm standing here a month ago with a much more powerful Iran than it was at any point during 47 years. This should have been handled by 7 presidents, a lot of presidents. And those presidents are saying now, every one of them to their friends, we should have done this a long time ago. So it's not something I like doing. It's very dangerous, and we're getting them at the height of their strength. If I didn't terminate the Barack Hussein Obama Iran nuclear deal, they would have had don't forget, that was a path to a nuclear weapon. Remember this. He chose Iran over Israel, pure and simple. How Israel can vote for a Democrat is, if you're Jewish in New York City or any place else in this country, and how you can vote for a Democrat is unbelievable, because he chose Iran, a very hostile Iran. Remember when he filled up a 757 with cash, billions of dollars of cash, and he sent it over to them. Then they gave them tens of billions of dollars. He chose Iran over Israel, and really the Arab world, if you look, because, you know, the other, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, I mean, you take a look. I mean, I can add Kuwait, and I can add Bahrain, and you can add others. He chose such an unlikely candidate. Nobody could believe it. Frankly, if you're going to choose between Iraq and Iran, he should have befriended Iraq. He went in the exact opposite direction of all thinking. And he made a terrible mistake. But that was a road to a nuclear weapon. And when I terminated that, everyone said, oh, he terminated it. It was one of the best things we ever did because he had a road to a nuclear weapon. And it was a very short-term deal. You know, countries don't do 10-year deals. Countries do hundreds of years. You don't do a 10-year deal. For a country, you need, this isn't, you're a landlord and you're renting a store on a certain street and you give somebody a 5-year or 10-year lease. This is a country. It was a short-term deal. It was ready to expire. I terminated it before it expired. Took a lot of heat, and it was one of the best things I ever did because he would have had a nuclear weapon. Then he would have had another nuclear weapon, had those beautiful B-2 bombers not gone in 8 months ago and obliterated that site. And by the way, the word is obliteration. CNN said, well, maybe it wasn't complete. It was so complete that they still haven't been able to get it. It was obliteration. But if we didn't hit them, that was a courageous decision, too, because we had all those planes flying in at night with very little cover, unbelievable stealth planes, and they were able to do their job. If we didn't do that, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon at a high level, either one of those two instances. And if they did, in my opinion, I told this to Bibi Netanyahu yesterday, Israel would have been extinguished. Large portions of the Middle East would have been extinguished, whether it's Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, or others. And you saw that with thousands of missiles raining down upon them. They didn't think they were going to be hit. They thought they'd be watching us fight. And all of a sudden, UAE got hit by 1,500 missiles. He would have taken them out also. And they were powerful. If I didn't come along and terminate the Obama deal, which was terrible, the Iran nuclear deal was a road to a nuclear weapon, a big one, unlimited, legally. I terminated it without even much thought. It was so easy. I terminated that, and then the B-2 bombers. And I did one other thing. I had killed Qasem Soleimani, who was an evil genius. And the reason I did it, I heard he was going to knock out 5 of our military bases. And had he lived, I believe we would be fighting perhaps a different Iran right now, because he's never been replaced, you know. And I did one other, but this one was not picked up. Osama bin Laden. If you read my book, I said you got to take him out 1 year before the World Trade Center came down. So I wish you'd read the book. But you, as a president, to be a good president, I believe you have to have good instincts. And a lot of this is instinct. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much for taking my question today, Mr. President. Mr. President, last week you suggested that Europe should take the lead on reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Has circumstances changed now that you're issuing a direct 48-hour ultimatum? And secondly, would a new ceasefire include Israel, or would it just be between Iran and the US?
I can't talk about ceasefire, but I can tell you that we have a active, willing participant on the other side. They would like to be able to make a deal. I can't say any more than that. But
You've listed the goals. Excuse me.
Please, go ahead.
You've listed the goals.
Mr. President.
Who are you with? Who are you with?
My name is Dia Kurda. I'm with the largest Kurdish media outlet, Ruda Media Network. It's based in Iran.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, you said before that you don't want the Kurdish forces to enter Iran and be harmed. Do you still want them to stay away? Or what role do you expect them to play now?
I'd rather have them stay away. I'd rather have them stay away because I think they bring with them some problems and some difficulties. And I don't think they bring death, I mean, you know, to themselves. But I'd rather have them stay away. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the question. Deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure violate the Geneva Conventions and international law.
Who are you with?
I'm with the New York Times. Zolan from the New York Times. Are you
failing?
Are you concerned?
Circulation way down at the New York Times.
Are
What's
you
going
concerned
on
that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to
war
crimes?
No, not at all. No, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it. But again, I just said 47 years they've been negotiating with these people. They're great negotiators. And because they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And if somebody that takes my place someday is weak and ineffective, which possibly that will happen because we had numerous presidents that were weak, ineffective, and afraid of Iran. We're never going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And if you think it's okay for people that are sick of mind, that are tough, smart, and sick, really sick, from a policy standpoint, from a any which way you want to say, mentally, these are disturbed people. If you think I'm going to allow them, and powerful and rich, to have a nuclear weapon, you can tell your friends at the New York Times, not going to happen.
It means violating international law.
Quiet. You no longer have credibility at the New York Times. Because the New York Times said, oh, Trump won't win the election, and I won in a landslide. I won every swing state. New York Times said, oh, Trump won't win the election. New York Times has no credibility. The credibility they have is it used to be all the news that's fit to print. The old gray lady, it was great, but they're running on past fumes, and you can't keep doing that. You have to be able to give the correct news. And people like you, who I know, are fake. You're fake. Go ahead, please.
Your messaging on the war has moved from the war is coming to an end to war going to be bombing Iran to the Stone Ages. Right. And we've heard a range of those kind of messages. So which is it? Are you winding this down?
Can't tell you.
Or are you escalating
I can't tell you. I don't know. I can't tell you. Depends what they do. This is a critical period. They have a period of, till tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I gave them an extension. They asked for an extension of 7 days, right? I said, Steve, give them 10 days. 10 days is up actually today, so I gave them 11, I guess, indirectly. I thought it was inappropriate the day after Easter. I want to be a nice person. They have till tomorrow. Now, we'll see what happens. I can tell you they're negotiating, we think, in good faith. We're going to find out. We're getting the help of some incredible countries that want this to be ended because it affects them also. A lot of people are affected by this, but we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and after that, they're going to have no bridges, they're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah, Stone Ages. CNN fake news.
Are you willing to make a deal that does not include reopening the Strait of Hormuz, or is that now a top priority?
I would say it's a very big priority because, see, that's one thing that's a little different than other things. We can bomb the hell out of them. We can knock them out for a loop. But to close the strait, all you need is one terrorist that somehow has a truck loaded with, because you can carry them in trucks, large trucks, a water mine, drop them in the water, and now you tell people that own ships that cost $1 billion to don't worry about the mine. You can do that even just by saying we put mines in the water. So it's not like the rest. We can knock out their military. We already have. We've knocked out their Navy. We've knocked out their Air Force completely. We've knocked out 158 ships in 3 days. We've knocked out even their mine droppers. They don't have any mine droppers anymore, but they put them on other boats, and they could drop them. I'm not even sure they have any mines there, by the way. I'm not sure. I'm personally, they say there might be 8. I don't know. I think there might be none because they're very good bullshit artists. That's why for 47 years they've been bullshitting other presidents, and they haven't done the job. And people are living in hell. You live in that country, they're living in hell. No, I think that 47 years of this stuff is long enough. They're at the weakest point they've ever been. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft weaponry, they have no radar, they have no communication. In fact, the biggest problem we have in our negotiation is that they can't communicate. I said to Steve, what are they saying? Sir, they can't communicate. They have no method of communication. So we're communicating like they used to communicate 2,000 years ago with children, bringing a note back and forth. They have no communication. But all I want to see is I want to have a safe world. And you're not going to have a safe world. Israel will be gone. The Middle East will be gone. And then they're coming for Europe. And I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed in NATO. Very. I think that NATO... I think it's a mark on NATO that will never disappear in my mind. You know, they're coming to see me on Wednesday. They're going to say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that.
Now they all of a sudden want to send things, you know. But they said it loud and clear at the beginning when I spoke to UK of all. I would have said they would have been the first because they're the oldest. And I say, yeah, I'd love to have a little help. He said, no, sir, we'd rather wait till you win. I said, I don't need help after we win. They have 2 old broken aircraft carriers, barely work. I said, I guess we can use them. Who the hell knows? I called the general. He didn't even want them. He said, we don't really need them. We got the SS Abraham Lincoln, sir. We don't need them. You know, we have, in terms of technology, we had one day 101 missiles going at 2,700 miles an hour, aimed at the Abraham Lincoln. 101 missiles. Out of 101 missiles, 101 missiles were shot down. Unbelievable technology. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know if that would have been possible, but 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. 101 missiles heading to a ship that's not that far off the coast. And out of the 101 missiles, we shot down all 101. We have weaponry. The Patriots are unbelievable. We have weaponry that's unbelievable, yeah. Go ahead, please. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said earlier today during the egg roll that you would like to take Iran's oil, but Americans want U.S. forces home.
Correct.
What's that trade-off?
If I had my choice,
time?
Yeah, because I'm a businessman first. With Venezuela, as you know, the war was over in about 45 minutes. And we have great people running Venezuela, very good people. I mean, the relationship is good. And we are a partner with Venezuela. And we've taken hundreds of millions of barrels, hundreds of millions. Over 100 million barrels already is in Houston, refined and out. And paid for that war many, many times over, many times over. You know, the old days, to the victim. Okay, you know that. To the winner belong the spoils, go the spoils. And I've said, why don't we use it? To the victor, go the spoils. And we don't have that. We haven't had that in this country probably in 100 years, because even the Second World War, you look at the Second World War, we didn't have it with the Second World War. We helped rebuild all those countries. We rebuilt Germany. How about Germany telling us that, well, it's not their war. We had nothing to do with it. They wanted me to go and tell them everything I was doing. We didn't know anything about it. Well, if I would have told them, they would have leaked it, and we wouldn't have been nearly as successful, possibly, right? But to the victor belong the spoils. So we haven't heard that in, I think, maybe hundreds of years. Now with Venezuela, and we, just so you understand, the people of Venezuela, they say if I ran for president of Venezuela, I'm polling higher than anybody has ever polled in Venezuela. So after I'm finished with this, I can go to Venezuela. I will quickly learn Spanish. It won't take too long. I'm good at language. And I will go to Venezuela. I'm going to run for president. But we're very happy with the president-elect that we have right now, the people that are running it. If you remember Bush with Iraq, they fired the generals, they fired the police, they fired the people that worked in their equivalent of the White House. They fired everybody. And you know what they had? They had a mess. And you know what happened? ISIS formed. Those generals and those soldiers got together. The police got together. They all got together. They formed ISIS. Not going to happen with us. So Venezuela has been an incredible situation. We went in. We were very successful. Military power like nobody's ever seen. The general, Venezuelan general, said, I was on that site. I said, I've never seen ferocity like that. I've been doing this for 40 years. He said, I've never seen it. They hit us from 17 different, they were all set. They saw that big, beautiful aircraft carrier, the Ford in that case, and planes were pouring off it at 1 o'clock in the morning. So typically when you see that late at night, you know, you could be in trouble, right? And we were all ready. They had their equipment. It was Russian. And they had Chinese equipment. It was all set. They were going to give us a fight. He said, and then they came, and they came at speeds like we've never seen. And they came at 17 different angles. The general and his people, that was a lot of angles. They hit him from every angle. He said, we knew it was over in 3 minutes. We were waiting for them. Their equipment didn't work, and there's a reason it didn't work. Someday we'll explain that to people. They pressed the button, nothing happened. They pressed it again and again, nothing happened. And he said, we knew this whole thing was over in 3 minutes. We've never seen any, he used the word ferocity. The ferocity of these planes from 17 different angles, and it was over. They went inside. And remember, that was on a military base with thousands of soldiers. And those soldiers looked and they said, get the hell out of here. Thousands. We didn't have thousands. We had like 200 people. So we have a great military. And I'll tell you what, somehow this rescue captured the world's attention, more so than normally. You're talking about 2 people. But this rescue captured the world's attention. But we did it in Venezuela. That was amazing. And now we have a very bad man in prison and going to trial. I mean, he released, aside from the drugs, which he was terrible, Maduro released hundreds of thousands of people from jails into our country. Drug dealers, murderers, the worst people in the world were released into our country because we had a stupid president who probably didn't know, and we had a border czar who never went to the border and never once called our great Border Patrol agents, right? Not once, Kamala. She never called the Border Patrol. She never said, how are we doing? I used to call the Border Patrol guys every day. You can ask them, Paul, ask any one of them. Brandon, ask him all the time, how are we doing? How are we doing? And we now, I'm proud to say, have a totally sealed border. 9 months, nobody is coming through our border. And nobody even tries because they know they're not going to get through. So we don't have caravans anymore. Right. So maybe 1 or 2 more and we'll be done.
Mr. President, are you allowed to, or are you willing to end this conflict with Iran charging tolls for passage through the strait?
Us charging tolls?
Iran.
What about us charging tolls?
Is that something you're considering?
I'd rather do that than let them have them, right? Why shouldn't we? We're the winner. We won, okay? They are militarily defeated. The only thing they have is the psychology of, oh, we're going to drop a couple of mines in the water, all right? No, we have a concept where we'll charge tolls, okay? I thought you meant us. Your question would have been more accurate if you said us. Go ahead.
So just to clarify, in order for Iran to successfully meet your deadline tomorrow, do they have to make a deal, open the strait, or both?
We have to have a deal that's acceptable to me. And part of that deal is going to be we want free traffic of oil and everything else.
Mr. President, thank you very much. You've said glory be to God in this conflict. Do you believe that God supports the United States' actions in this
I do,
war?
because
And have you
God
sought
is
his direction?
good. Because God is good, and God wants to see people taken care of. God doesn't like what's happening. I don't like what's happening. Everyone says I enjoy it. I don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy it. These 2 guys don't enjoy it. You know, people say, "Oh boy, they're so tough." I don't like seeing people killed. I've ended 8 wars. Nobody's ever done it. The person who won the Nobel Prize came to me and said, you deserve the Nobel Prize. She announced that. When they announced, they said, goes to Maria. She's a great person, really a good person. She said, no, this is ridiculous. They gave me the Nobel Prize. President Trump ended 8 wars. I could go over every one of them, including India and Pakistan, where the Prime Minister of Pakistan said, President Trump saved from 30 to 50 million lives. That makes me much happier than what we're doing right now. That makes me much happier. We have 1 more to end, by the way.
Okay.
President, you called yesterday in your Truth Social, you called the Iranians crazy bastards.
True.
What is your response to critics who say that
I don't care about critics.
What is your response to critics who say that it is your mental health that should perhaps be examined as this war continues?
I haven't heard that. But if that's the case, you're going to have more people like me, because our country was being ripped off on trade, on everything for many years until I came along. So if that's the case, you're going to have more people. Dasha, go ahead. Dasha, go.
You said that very little is off limits in Iran as far as targeting,
Yeah.
including power plants, bridges, you've mentioned those.
Very little is off limits.
Are there certain kinds of civilian targets, though? I'm thinking schools
I don't want to
or
tell you
hospitals
that.
you
I don't
would
want to
say
tell
is
you
off-
that. We have a plan because of the power of our military. where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition by 12 o'clock. And it'll happen over a period of 4 hours if we wanted to. We don't want that to happen. We may even get involved with helping them rebuild their nation. And you know what? If that's the case, the last thing we want to do is start with power plants, which are among the most expensive things, and bridges. You saw the bridge. The bridge went. We were very close to a deal. And then I got a call from Mr. Witkoff, Mr. Kushner, and JD saying, I think they're breaking the deal. I said, tell them that's okay. Don't worry about it. But tell them to look out their window and watch. And within 45 minutes, I gave the order to knock out the biggest bridge. I gave the order, knock out the biggest bridge in, I believe, the Middle East, but the biggest bridge in Iran. And within 10 minutes after I gave that order, that bridge was over. So do I want to do that? No. Do I want to destroy their infrastructure? No. It will take them 100 years to rebuild. Right now, if we left today, it would take them 20 years to rebuild their country, and it would never be as good as it was. And the only way they're going to be able to rebuild their country is to utilize the genius of the United States of America.
Mr. President, on NATO, you voiced your displeasure with NATO in the past. Is there a danger to the U.S. not being the de facto of the leader of the alliance, and then other powers within the alliance then getting the decision making when it comes to wars and nuclear weapons?
No, it's not a danger. Look, we went to NATO. I didn't ask very strongly. I just said, hey, if you want to help, great. No, we will not help. I said, that's all right. You don't want to help? Because I've always said NATO's a paper tiger. See, NATO's a paper tiger. Putin's not afraid of NATO. Putin's afraid of us, very afraid of us. And he's explained it to me a lot of times. I got to know him very well. I know him very well. NATO's a paper tiger. NATO is us. And when we needed them, we didn't need them, by the way. We didn't need them, obviously, because they haven't helped at all. Just the opposite. They've actually gone out of their way not to help. They didn't even want to give us landing strips. Think of it. And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us? South Korea didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Japan. We've got 50,000 soldiers in Japan to protect them from North Korea. We have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea to protect us from Kim Jong-un, who I get along with very well, as you know. Do you notice he said very nice things about me? He used to call Joe Biden a mentally retarded person, okay? So don't tell me about your stuff. Joe Biden, he said he's a mentally retarded person. He was so nasty to Joe Biden. It was terrible. But to me, he likes Trump. And do you notice how nice things are with North Korea? It's very nice. But we have 45,000 people, soldiers, in harm's way, and right next to Kim Jong-un with a lot of nuclear weapons. 45, which should have never happened if a certain president, I'm not going to mention this president because I happen to like him, believe it or not, but if a certain president did his job, Kim Jong-un would not have nuclear weapons right now. But they were all afraid to do their job properly. But just to conclude and just to finish, Japan didn't help us, Australia didn't help us, South Korea didn't help us, and then you get to NATO, NATO didn't help us. There were some countries that did. Now, countries that have been good, now you could also say they're got to be a little bit more involved because they're in the territory, but Saudi Arabia has been excellent, Qatar has been excellent, UAE has been excellent, Bahrain, Kuwait. I mean, Kuwait did shoot down 3 of our planes. The only planes, really, that we lost with friendly fire, they call it. I call it unfriendly fire. They unfortunately didn't know how to use our great Patriots. The pilot said, what kind of a missile's coming at us? Patriot. Boom, they got out because they know a Patriot never misses. So they had beautiful Patriots. There were planes heading in their direction. Unfortunately, they decided to shoot those planes. They were our planes. So, NATO is a paper tiger. Now, he's coming to see me on Wednesday, as you know. He's a wonderful guy. Secretary General is great. and Mark Rutte. He's a great person, but he's got, and you know, it all began with, if you want to know the truth, Greenland. We want Greenland. They don't want to give it to us, and I said, bye-bye. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
What about rising gas prices for Americans who are concerned? General King,
Well, there you go. President Trump fielding questions from the press as he began the news conference, speaking about the heroic rescue of 2 U.S. Air Force pilots after they ejected when their F-15E Strike Eagle fighter jet was shot down over Iranian soil on Friday. Meantime, the president had this to say about tomorrow night's 8 p.m. Eastern deadline with Iran.
Where we're doing unbelievably well, well at a level that nobody's ever seen before. The entire country can be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night.
So this live stream brought to you by a number of great sponsors. We're going to get to some more news in just a second, but of course, thanking our great sponsors and also seeing here with Plan Select, one of them as well. And are you getting the benefits you deserve from your Medicare Advantage plan? So many people don't realize their plan may include valuable extras that can save them thousands of dollars every year. So all you have to do is call 877-664-8133 now to see if you qualify. With the right Medicare Advantage plan, you can receive a gym membership at no cost to help you stay active and healthy. If you need a ride, many plans include transportation services with up to 60 rides per year to your doctor's appointments or pharmacy. Now, some plans also offer meal delivery programs with up to 28 meals delivered each year at no cost, perfect after a hospital stay or when you just need a little extra help. You may also qualify for an over-the-counter allowance of up to $800 per year for everyday essentials like vitamins, first aid supplies, cold and flu medicine, and dental hygiene products. And that's not all. Certain plans provide a grocery card with up to $3,600 per year to help you pay for healthy food and household essentials. All you have to do is call that number you see on your screen there, 877-664-8133 to see if you qualify. And the big question is, are you taking advantage of everything your plan offers? So you can call them today, 877-664-8133 to find out if you're taking advantage of all of your Medicare Advantage benefits. Licensed agents will review your options and help make sure you're getting every benefit available to you. Again, 877-664-8133 to speak with a licensed Medicare Advantage plan agent. Plan Select, great sponsor here at Right Side. Let's go to one more before we dive into some more news as we're following it here on Right Side. As you see there, most Americans, take prescription or at least preparation seriously. We prepare financially, we prep our homes, we plan for emergencies, but when it comes to healthcare, most people are still waiting until something goes wrong. And then by then, you're dealing with the delays or the limited access and a system that doesn't always come through. Now, there's a smarter way to handle it. All Family Pharmacy lets you get ahead of this. And all you have to do is go online, request the medications you want, fill out a short medical form, and a licensed doctor reviews your request. Now, if appropriate, they'll write the prescription. They'll ship it straight to your door within days. No insurance required, no waiting rooms, no middleman. You can keep essentials stocked and ready. You have antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, bendazole, NAD+, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and over 400 prescription medications that millions of Americans rely on every single day. So this is what taking control of your health care actually looks like, not waiting for the system to help you. So if you believe in preparation or in medical freedom and in having real options when it matters most, All Family Pharmacy has your back. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN 10 promo code for 10% off. All right, it is 2:36, Monday, April 6th. Obviously looking live right now at Artemis 2 right now. Let's go to a live look-in with NASA right now as the Orion spacecraft gets closer to orbiting the moon. Here's the NASA Artemis 2 flyby day schedule. At 1:56 Eastern Time, which this just happened, Artemis 2, the crew, passes the Apollo 13 distance record. Let's actually take a look at NASA's video when 4 astronauts in that spacecraft broke the record.
Orion itself has 330 cubic feet of habitable volume. That's about the size of 2 minivans and is 60% more cubic volume than the Apollo spacecraft. We are standing by for the Integrity crew aboard Orion to surpass the Apollo 13 record.
Integrity crew, on April 15, 1970, during the Apollo 13 mission, 3 explorers set the record for the farthest distance humans have ever traveled from our home planet. At that time, over 55 years ago, Lovell, Swigert, and Hayes flew 248,655 statute miles away from Earth. Today, for all humanity, you're pushing beyond that frontier. Integrity, over to you.
Yeah, from the cabin of Integrity here as we surpass the furthest distance humans have ever traveled from planet Earth. We do so in honoring the extraordinary efforts and feats of our predecessors in human space exploration. We will continue our journey even further into space before Mother Earth succeeds in pulling us back to everything that we hold dear. But we, most importantly, choose this moment to challenge this generation and the next to make sure this record is not long-lived.
Artemis 2, the crew passing that Apollo 13 distance record within the past hour. At 7:02 Eastern tonight, Artemis 2, the crew there in the Orion spacecraft makes its closest approach to the moon. That's at 7:02 Eastern tonight. That is something you can watch live, of course, on the internet, as we are live right now on the internet as well. Live streaming all over the place, whether it's Truth Social or X or our app or YouTube, but of course on Rumble. Great to have a number of people on Rumble watching our broadcast live right now. On top of all of that, you know, when you think about going to the next level, which that crew just did, I think about the Save America Act. I think we should go to the next level and end the filibuster and get that thing signed into law. MyPillow.com, great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. MyPillow.com/RSBN, a ton of great products on there, as you guys know. A lot of people, they peruse the site, they purchase, whether it's a pillow or the sheets or coffee or slides, slippers, whatever. I know my family and I, we have a bunch of this stuff, MyPillow gear. So great quality products, MyPillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network as we grow, as we expand, as we cover a ton of events, including on April 17th, when the Commander-in-Chief will be speaking in Arizona at a TPUSA event. We'll be live, boots on the ground, interviewing a number of great Patriots outside the event, like we always have since 2015. All of those things cost money, of course. So rsbnetwork.com/donate. For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you so much for watching this live coverage. If you'd like to follow us on X and on Truth Social, it's at RSB Network on X and at RSBN on Truth Social. If you'd like to follow me on Truth Social, it's at Matthew Alvarez. And on X, it's at Matthew US Media. A shout out to our production crew for today's double dip, in the sense of a doubleheader. RSBN doubleheader today. If you missed any of that, go ahead and watch the replay. We'll see you again soon.